Okay. Hello and welcome to GamesHUB, a crypto talk show with our investors, partners, and remarkable personalities. I'm Konstantin Kogan, co-founder of GamesPad, and in today's episode, we'll talk about the age of Metaverse with Gal Yosef, a self-taught prodigy in the field of 3D arts and digital sculpting. He's currently regarded as one of the most influential role models in 3D art, who has gained mass recognition for the cartoon-style digital sculptures. And Gal, he's a friend. He worked with a lot of celebrities, just as Justin Bieber, Steve Aoki, worked with Nike, Dior, many other like top brands in the world. Showcase his artwork and sells us in like one of the top galleries and exhibitions, including Eden Gallery, Art Basel, Miami. And, Gal, just really pleasure talking to you. Welcome to GamesHUB.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So again, thank you for joining us. And we want to know more like about your background. How did you learn all of this? Like, how did you even understand and that 3D art is your calling? And where did you get excited about it?
Since I remember myself, I was very since I was very young. I remember I was watching nonstop all the cartoon movies, and I was pretty obsessed with them. And as a kid, I always looked to like bring them to life. Bring them into the real world so they will be able to be around me. And I was always looking for a way to do it. And of course, as a kid, I wasn't able to do 3D art. I didn't even know what is 3D art. I was my imagination was from the beginning pretty crazy, and as I told you, I was looking all the time to bring them to life. During the time, I learned how to do it, and I start to to search for some softwares like Maya and 3D Max and ZBrush. And back then, it wasn't that famous as it today. I remember when I started to learn those softwares, I was needed to do it by myself. And back then there was nothing, maybe a couple of tutorials that I was able to watch, and it wasn't like about how to do it. It was more about the UI of the software. So I was needed to read books in English, and I think I was around 16 years old, something like this. So it wasn't easy for me, because English it's not my main language, so it was pretty hard for me. But I keep working on it and learn as much as possible. It was hard because I was very young, and again there was no tutorials. So just it was years and years of learning. And yeah, I did it in a different way because I think today it's much easier to do it because there is many courses and college and tutorials for 3D, because it's become more popular, even let's say mainstream. But back then I was reading books. I was needed to like play a lot with the software to understand what should I do. It took me a lot of time, but I finally, after years of hard work, I got into this point.
So, I mean, obviously, you already have the success and you have a lot of successful projects. Like one of my favorite was like Pokemon, and then few like the graphics were like insane. Like, the way you look at things and the way you portray them, like it's like first of all, it's realistic and it's aesthetically appealing, right? And secondly, like maybe you can tell us a little bit of your secret sauce, like when you can share about the few projects that you're working right now, and maybe some of them in the future. What are you doing right now?
Yeah. So a part of getting into the results that you want, at least for me, I'm not looking on other artists when I'm doing something. I'm looking on the real life. I think that many young artists taking inspiration for more, famous artists, and it's totally fine. But you always need to find a balance between inspiration and between copy the other artist. The biggest inspiration for me is the real life, the people around me, the environment around me, and the situation that happened to me every day. The world is based on money. Even for those cute preachers, they are based on huge corporations. And what I want to show the world is how those characters will look today if they were like a part of our or a world, and um, to show the world they are also based on money. This is the idea behind my artworks. Um, my future projects are between my future projects. I can't tell that much, but it's with Nike. I'm doing a a big project with Nike. I'm doing a big project with Ruo, so is the that is the fashion brand of Justin Bieber. I have a global tour of exhibition around the world. My next one going to be in London, probably in the middle of October. I'm not sure yet. Um, right after this, I have exhibition in Art Basel, Miami in December, and then in Vegas. So it's going to be a crazy year for me with all the exhibitions. And beside that, I can't share too much, but I'm working on crazy metaverse projects and fashion projects. So I'm super excited for what to come.
That's it's amazing. We see that a lot of auction houses also jump on the bandwagon, like experimenting with NFTs, launching them, creating like virtual spaces, exhibits, selling art. I mean, last December, Christie's conducted an on-chain auction taking place open sea, and I know you participated. You talked with Christie's, you're in close contact. So, but more so, I want to ask you, on the one hand, we hear like such an amazing advancement, right? You're talking to big brands, celebrities, influencers. On the other hand, people are like analysts are saying 90% of the demand for NFTs are like slowing down. So what is your stance? What is your opinion? What is happening in the market? And what do you foresee the evolution until December?
So listen, I don't think that there is someone who can really tell you what's going to be and when. And I think as someone who is involved in this space, I always watching closely, but I'm very careful with every step. Um, Last year, I was doing I sold one of my NFT along with Steve Aoki in Sotheby's. It was great, and I think once there is auction houses like Sotheby's and Christie's that getting involved in this space, it's giving a nice backup to the NFT space because it's showing something more serious. Um, but I think because it's new, and again, this is my opinion, because it's very new and become popular just lately, it's not stable. And I don't think, as I mentioned, that there is someone who can really tell us how it's gonna be. It's just a matter of keep watching and getting update all the time. In the end of the day, this space is based on community, and as more the community will be positive about it, it will. That's the way it will be. It's new. People was very excited about it, and then people lost their excitement about it, so it's went down. So it's affected mostly because of the community, in my opinion, at least. Um, I hope so that the future of the NFT will be more stable. Um, when I was when I got in for the first time into the NFT, it was very natural for me because as a digital artist, uh, the NFT is basically made for digital art. But I don't think it will stay that way. I think it will be more for utilities, more for access. Like buying a ticket for something. This is the way I think the NFT will go to. Um, and again, the best that I can offer is that it will be more stable, and then everyone will be able to understand what is the real future of the NFT. Because right now it's a little bit hard to understand. But yeah, I think it's also natural to have something like beer market after a huge boom market. So we just need to wait and see.
100%. So, art is a medium of self-expression, and you as an artist, I'm sure you you understand it better than anyone else. Like, Pablo Picasso once said, like, that in art there is room for all possibilities. And now we're having this metaverse, a concept that not a lot of people understand fully, right? And it gives you an immense, like, plethora of different opportunities and possibilities, both for creators, galleries, collectors, and many other participants in the market. So what is your vision like of art evolution inside the metaverse? Like, what are the opportunities for artists, right? And maybe that you see that now is still very early as a trend, but for the future it might become even bigger.
Yeah. So when someone is an artist, I will speak from a place as an artist. To For me as an artist is who I am. It's not like my profession. It's really who I am. So for me as an artist to get involved in the metaverse and it's very naturally, and I hope that the metaverse will become, in the end of the day, the metaverse, it's a platform, but it can also become something like kind of like a second word for us, by real estates and stuff like this. And I wish, and I hope so, and I guess it will be like this, that during the time, and it will take some time, the metaverse will be like a second word for all of us, because the world not getting bigger, and we need a different way to make more stuff, and more options and possibilities. And I think that the metaverse will be a great place for artists. um, and I think actually the metaverse will be a great place for everyone, for musicians to make shows, for sports events, for, in my opinion, for everything. And again, mostly for artists, because artists will be able to bring himself totally in. Or for example, a 3D artist will be able to actually build buildings, what he cannot do in the real world, except like mockups and stuff like this, but you will be able to really build buildings in the metaverse. And in my opinion, it's amazing. And you will be able to build characters that will be like a real human. So for me, the metaverse, it's amazing, and I hope the future will go to this direction.
Now, I'm sure there are a lot of artists who are listening right now, and they're like not as like well versed in what's the concept of 3D art, maybe metaverse it is like, right now. So what would be your professional tips for them? Where to start, like, to self-express, maybe do the first pitting of their art?
When you're talking about artists, there is many artists. You have sculpture, you have illustrator, you have a 3D artist, and even in the 3D art, there is like categories. There is people that are generalists that can do everything, but there are people that doing specific stuff. I think, first of all, not even just for the metaverse. First of all, when you are an artist, you need to do it because you love it, in my opinion, not to do it for something specifically. Because if you're doing it for something specifically, it's become like a work. And to be an artist, it's not a work, it's a way of life, so first of all, I think that every artist needs to understand what is real, what is the most natural place for him in the art space. If it's to be a sculptor, if it's to be a 3D artist, illustrator, painter, whatever. And then after you figure out, for example, if you want to be a sculptor as a 3D artist, it can bring himself, very naturally into the metaverse, and help build buildings, humans, and whatever. But first of all, the first base is to understand what you like, even if it's look hard. And I think there is no one that will get into the 3D space and say that it's easy. I think it's very hard to be a 3D artist. But in the end of the day, if you're working hard enough, you can do it. So first of all, check and make sure what is the best category for you to learn. Um, Even if it will take years, and it's probably going to take years. And you know what? I never stop learning. Every time that I'm doing a new project, I'm keep learning new stuff. So I think everyone should not be afraid to do something that they love, to make sure that they really like the category they choose, and just to keep learning all the time without being afraid to do it.
So before we open up the floor to our listeners, right, for the questions, I will ask you really one last question, quick one. Like our private conversation, you once told me that like to be a good successful 3D artist, like not just a good one, but also you need to be a good business person. Can you
That's right.
elaborate on, because there are a lot of artists, I feel like, with all due respect to them, they might be super talented as artists, but they don't understand the concept of how to promote themselves as a, as an influencer in a way, right? So maybe one
Yeah.
advice to go this route.
I think it's all about communication with the word, and actually, it's about communication is the key for everything in life, in my opinion. And as I told you, art is a way of life. It's not just like being a doctor, in my opinion. It's you need, when you want to be an artist, you have to live as an artist, and if you want to be a successful artist, you also need to know how to communicate with people. And for a businessman, communication is also the most important key. So it's the same for artists. they need to learn how to communicate with the people that they want to follow them. If it's in social media or in real life, they have to go there and show their portfolio to the world, and not just hide it behind and wait for something to happen. You need to knock on doors. You need to show yourself to the world. This is what I did. I was always, and until today, I'm never like, it's a blessing, a curse. You never feel calm. You always want to show yourself. um that's the way to do it. Try to communicate as much as possible. Express yourself. Don't hide. That's the best advice that I can give to every artist.
Thanks for all your answers. So now is the time for our audience to, to provide their questions, and you can do it. Just a reminder, in YouTube Live, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, Twitter Live, anywhere you want. So our moderators will collect them and provide them to me. So I already have a first batch, so I'm going to direct them straight to you. Captain Huddle from YouTube is asking, what's your main argument for a proven metaverse as a platform for artists? Is there anything you would change if you had the chance? It's a tricky question, I know. um, we might have some quick technical difficulties. Yeah, sorry for technical difficulties. We're back. So basically, the question was regarding the metaverse as a platform for artists, right? Is there anything you would change in the current state of things? Maybe some practical examples you can provide that you think that, there are different room, like different abilities for metaverse to develop for artists.
The metaverse too. It's too early to say what we should change in the metaverse. So it's a little bit hard to answer this kind of question because myself, I'm in the beginning of the metaverse. It's a little bit hard to say what should be changed before I really understand it. So it's a little bit hard to answer.
That's fair. I totally totally understand. So Evgeny from YouTube says, hey, I really love your work. What would be your best advice for people who want to become such amazing 3D artists as you? Also, what niche would you recommend aspiring artists to look into?
All right. So as I mentioned earlier, I think the best advice I can give any artist, first of all, is to learn the category that you want to learn. And if you want to be a generalist as a 3D artist, it's okay, it's totally okay. You will need to work harder, but there are two keys actually. The first one is to work hard as much as possible and always keep learning, because the world is giving us more tools and more platforms, and you always need to learn as much as possible. And that's the way to become a really good 3D artist. I'm always learning. I'm never thinking that I'm the best. I'm always thinking that I have to learn more, and that's the way. Like, I'm always like putting myself in a situation that like I'm never feeling comfortable with it. I always want to feel better and better. Um, Beside it, the communication, as I mentioned, the communication with your clients, with the fans, with the world, actually, it's the second key for the success as a 3D artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the questions are actually very similar, so I'm not going to repeat themselves. They're asking about your amazing work and what's the advices. So we're going to skip all of those. I think you answered very nicely. There is one that I want to ask from Satoshi-san from YouTube. Like, I think it pertains more to how can artists reach to get support from other community members, and how do you engage with your own tribe?
I'm doing nothing special actually. I'm just showing really what I want to show. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I think this is also something very important to say. Don't try to be someone else. Like, and this is why they say also earlier something similar to this. If you want to be a good artist, don't try to copy other artists. Try to be yourself. It's okay to take inspiration, but just if you will be yourself, I think it will be the best way to communicate with your fans and with your community. I never try to do something that other artists did or something like this. I'm just showing myself, and that's the way it works. I never try to do anything special actually.
Got it. Yes. So there's another one, Lee from YouTube, very similar but from a different angle. When can we consider an art initiative in the metaverse as a business, right? And how do we need to adopt to build synergy with our audience and platform?
Um, can you repeat it just to make sure that I got it right?
I think what Lee is trying to ask about the basically like art, as a business. For example, you have galleries, you have brick and mortar stores, like in the real world when you say physical art, right? In the metaverse, because of the so low penetration of users, still, like we're talking about tens of thousands, it's not even millions of people, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The discovery point is a little bit like harder to actually run it as a regular business, right? So
Yeah,
basically you need to bring a lot of audience with you, right? So I
yeah.
think what he's trying to ask is basically how do you build this, like, to make sure that it's even, there's a demand.
Okay, so the metaverse, as we all know, it's new. And I think before you're getting into the metaverse, in my opinion, you need to base yourself in the real world at least, or in social medias before you're getting into the metaverse, in order to be able to bring your community in and to turn it into a business. There is a couple for an artist. There is many ways actually to make a business from the metaverse. If it's to open his own gallery in the metaverse, or actually to create assets for others. So there is, yeah, this is two good example of how to make money from the metaverse. And I think the main one is will be to open your own gallery in the metaverse. But first of all, I think it will be good to base yourself in the real world as an artist and in social media as an artist before you're getting into the metaverse, because it's all new and the exposure in the metaverse, it's not so big yet.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And so basically, there are a few questions. I'll just combine them for three people. Like, what is your personal goal, like, for the near future and for the for the upcoming year? Like, do you have any other ambitious goals that you mentioned?
Hmm. So those days I'm developing my own animation studio. My future goal is to, like, to be the next Pixar, the next Disney. Um, I'm putting, like, this is the highest goal that I have. It will take years and years, but I believe in myself, and that's what I want to do. And of course, I have all the collaboration that I'm working on those days. with the fashion brands and the celebrities and all the exhibition that I have. That's something that I will always keep doing. But beside that, I'm going to put a lot of effort on my animation studio.
Got it. Any other like some details about the animation studio? What it will be like? When are we gonna see it?
Yeah, so the animation studio is going to be the focus, and the goal is to create movies and TV series, but to mix them in the metaverse. To say how and when, it's a little bit hard to say, because again, it's still too early. But
Hmm.
yeah, part of of the goal of the animation studio is to definitely bring the studio into the metaverse. My goal is to launch the studio into the world in around 3 to 4 months, something like this. Um, I'm still in a pretty early steps with the studio. I'm doing everything very carefully because I want to do everything perfectly. So it's taking some time, and time, it's also something very important. I think people are rushing all the time to do new stuff and to show themselves. There is it's good to it's good to rush, but not too much, because you want to make sure that what you're doing is the right thing, and not just to say, okay, I did. You need to do something good. So don't stress yourself too much in life, because it's important to do it in the right time. And it's important to do it right, in general. So that's another tip that I can give to any artist.
And maybe like one of the few questions as you mentioned, like how do you even digitize the movie, right? When you say there's a presence like of how you create an artwork for the movie and there's going to be NFTs, like it can elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, so just for an example, let's say that's gonna be any metaverse, okay? And in this metaverse, gonna be buildings and human beings and stuff like this. So what I'm gonna do, maybe my future goal is to mix the movie in this metaverse. So the buildings will not be the buildings in the real New York. It will be the buildings inside the metaverse. So the movie, it will be basically interactive movies. So we will be able to see the buildings in the metaverse and the buildings of other people in the metaverse, and it's everything going to be included in the movie. So this is one of the goals that I want to achieve.
Got it. Listen, I know you're an ambitious person. We sincerely wish you luck, from the entire
Thank
community.
you
And
very much.
there's many questions that like probably I would just like they're going to be more general because I think you reply to all of them. But we want to make sure we're running this series in a very concise fashion. We really appreciate your knowledge and
Thank you
expertise.
very much.
And yeah, I mean, listen, we're gonna follow your path, right? And thank you everyone for joining GamesHUB
Thank you
today.
very much.
And listen us for at 3 p.m. UTC on YouTube Live and other platforms. We're gonna bring more guests like Gal, hopefully more 3D artists who will share other opinions, and then we'll build an interesting family. Thank you so much.